I was 19. I fell through a church floor and landed 672 years in the past. I have exactly 11 minutes of video on my phone from the day before it happened. My friend filming me being an idiot outside an abandoned church, laughing and saying, "What's this?" right before I climbed through a gap in a fence I had no business climbing through. That video is the last proof I have that I have ever belonged to 2019. I have watched it more times than I can count. I looked so young in it. Hi everyone, my name is Ren. I was 19 backpacking alone through the English countryside because I had just gone through a breakup that had hollowed me out more than I wanted to admit to anyone, including myself. I found a half-collapsed church on the edge of a quartz-walled village, fenced off, forgotten, exactly the kind of broken, beautiful thing a heartbroken 19-year-old is drawn to. There was a gap in the fence. There always is. I climbed down into the crypt beneath the church floor. The stone had caved in decades ago, and through the gap I could see stairs going further down than they should have gone. I put my foot on the first step. I don't remember falling. I remember becoming cold. I remember a smell so overwhelming it hit me before my eyes even adjusted. Wood smoke, unwashed wool, damp earth, and then I remember opening my eyes to a sky with no planes in it, no contrails, no orange haze of streetlight pollution, just more stars than I had ever seen in my life, and the black shape of a village that looked nothing like the one I had just walked into an hour before. I spent 2 days convinced that I had hit my head. On the third day, a woman found me half frozen against a stone wall that, in my time, no longer existed. She had a chipped front tooth and hands cracked from work, and she looked at this filthy, shaking, incomprehensible girl in front of her, and instead of running, she pulled me up by the arm like I was something worth keeping. Her name was Meg, and it was the year 1347. I know that because of a word I kept hearing whispered with real fear in people's voices, a sickness moving inland from the coast, and once I understood roughly what year I had landed in, I understood exactly what that sickness was. The plague hadn't reached this village yet, but it was coming, and I was a 19-year-old girl who suddenly knew something no one else within 100 miles knew. Meg had a daughter, Tam, maybe 7 years old, missing her front baby teeth, who thought it was the funniest thing in the world that a grown-up girl didn't know how to card wool properly. She would sit beside me by the fire and correct my hand with more patience than most adults I had ever met, like teaching me to survive was just something you did for the family. And somewhere in those first few weeks, without deciding to, I started thinking of them that way, as family, as the only two people on either side of 600 years who actually knew me. I worked the land with Meg. I learned to carry water without spilling it, to sleep through cold that would have put me in a hospital in 2019, to stop flinching at hunger. But none of that was the hard part. The hard part was lying awake at night with a piece of knowledge lodged in my chest like a stone. I know what's coming for you, and I don't know if I can stop it, and I don't know how to make you understand in time. So I tried. I grabbed Meg's arms one night too hard and told her, in my broken, stumbling half language, to seal the grain, to keep the rats away, to run the second she heard of fever and swelling in a neighboring village, and not come back for a long time. I must have looked half mad to her, a strange girl who had fallen out of nowhere, grabbing her and pleading about rats. But she had decided, I think, that I was some kind of omen, and she honored me anyway. The grain got sealed. A half-wild cat got fed scraps to keep her around for the mousing. I dug at that collapsed stairwell every week I could manage, barehanded, because some part of me always knew I had a mother back in 2019 who didn't know if her daughter was alive or dead. But I want to be honest. Some weeks I dug less than I could have. Some weeks I told myself the stone hadn't shifted when really I just wasn't ready to leave the sound of Dame's laugh or the way Meg hummed while she worked. Tuneless and low, like it was the one luxury she had let herself keep. Almost a year to the day after I fell, I found the crate open again. I didn't get a real goodbye. I told Meg I had to travel, the same lie I had told her the day we met, and she nodded slowly like she had always known this day was coming. Like maybe some part of her had known all along I wasn't from any nod she had ever heard of. Tame cried. I knelt down, held her small cold hands, and couldn't explain a single true thing to her before I had to walk away anyway. Because the only alternative was a lie I didn't have the strength to keep telling a 7-year-old. And so, I climbed back into 2019 with dirt from a cinch that no longer had a name for me, still under my nails. And here's what I haven't been able to fix in all those years. I don't know if any of it mattered. I don't know if the rates, the seal grain, the warnings I screamed at a woman in a language she barely understood changed anything at all. There's no record of Mag anywhere, no record of Tame. Almost nobody like them made it into history at all. That's simply how the past was kept or wasn't. For girls and women who worked lane they didn't own, I still search sometimes. Typing village names into a search bar at 3 a.m. knowing it's pointless doing it anyway. I don't know if that little girl grew old. I don't know if she even got the chance to. What I have instead is this: I don't let people I love leave a room angry anymore. I hold on to goodbyes a bit too long, and the people who know me have stopped asking why. And every single time I pass an old stone building with a gap in the fence, I think about two people who fed a stranger out of almost nothing, and I keep walking. Because some goodbyes you don't get to take back, and I'm not brave enough to find out if I already had mine.